our little segment that we always like to do, buy or sell. Does Izzy have to style on Pereira? Because, like you said, he's been, I don't want to say conservative in his last few title defenses, but he has been fighting in a way where, I mean, he's not flat out getting booed out of the building, but there are a lot of people that are paying a lot of money to see him fight and not feeling like they saw the Israel Adesanya that was the guy on the come up to the belt.
Right. And I think you're right with that. But the difference here is that I think they sense that Pereira could be the guy to beat him.
Sure.
And that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think
So are you saying
anybody.
if Izzy wins, do you think he takes that conservative route? He plays the game and wins on points?
No, no, no. If he wins, I'm going to say if he wins, he knocks Pereira out.
Okay.
I don't think he outpoints him.
Okay.
He could. He's the faster guy, but it's not going to be like what you see against like a Vittori,
Sure.
or you know what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
definitely going to be a different type of fight. Those guys don't have the technical. Or Jared Cannonier, who's super strong and he's a beast, but he doesn't have the technicality of a Pereira. I mean, I like the way even Pereira was explaining how he knocked out Strickland. He's going in there with a mindset that's similar to Izzy's, right?
Okay.
Where these other guys are they're more muscling in, trying to overpower him, and that plays into Izzy's hand. He wants that where he could just lean back and snipe you. You know what I mean? I don't think he could do that with this guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see what this guy's doing. He obviously has lead in his left hook, so I think that's going to be the other thing too is, you're the champion. You want to stay the champion. There's big money with the
Right.
champion.
Yeah.
Does that force him to be a little conservative, which helps, the other guy, or does he go to make the statement, which puts him at more risk to get knocked out, and then he loses that? I don't know. A lot to unpack. Like a lot. That's what makes the fight intriguing to me.
Right.
I'm kind of curious to see what approach both guys go. They both have great corners. Eugene Bamman's one of the best coaches out there, and he'll strategize. I'm sure he's going to have Izzy fighting an MMA fight. And the same with Glover, another great trainer, great jiu-jitsu guy. So he could, hopefully he's preparing him for anything on the floor to takedowns. And, that's exciting to me, is just to see how they approach the fight, both of them.
Yeah, let's take a look at Adesanya as a challenger and as a champion a little bit, at least from a number standpoint, because I firmly believe that we have seen a different, more conservative last style bender. He's a guy that goes out there and he does what he needs to do to win the fight. And if he
Right.
turns some fans off, then he turns some fans off. I mean, it was apparent in the Yoel Romero fight. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Adesanya had a game plan. He wasn't going to break off of it. He ultimately got it done. But as a challenger, this is what Adesanya's rise to the belt looked like. Average fight time was 14 minutes and 34 seconds, which makes sense. Most of those fights were 15-minute bouts, but still taking majority of those the time allotted to get the win. Significant strike percentage 51.7. His average significant strikes thrown per fight 128.5, and then significant strikes thrown per minute a little under 9. And there was that finishing rate, obviously big. So let's see what the numbers are as a champion, because if he is conservative, the numbers should tell that story. Average fight time as a champion, 21:48. Obviously, going the distance and a lot of those fights going to change that. The striking percentage, though, pretty similar. He's at a little above 51% as a champion. He's at 50%. A lot more strikes thrown per fight, 159.2. And then when it comes to the significant strikes thrown per minute, less than he was as a challenger. So let's throw those stats side by side so you can see. Ray, like, the finishing rate is obviously different. He finished, double the amount of fights that he had as a contender than as a champion. But everything else to me seems to be kind of a wash. He's throwing more strikes per fight. Granted, they're 5-round fights. He's landing pretty much at the same rate. The numbers tell me, Ray, that he's fighting the same sort of style, but the opponents, the opposition, they don't go away as easily.
I tell you, well, or you could look at it this way, like those significant strikes. He was 128, I think, to 150. He has to throw more strikes to play it safe. I think. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that. I think that's why. So because look, if you look at it this way, I mean, everybody's tough, right? Everybody in there is pretty tough, but you're throwing more strikes, but your finishing rate went down 20%. So you're not trying for the knockout. you're just trying to pepper the guy and play it safe. I don't know. That's the way I could interpret them, but I'm sure they could be interpreted a million ways. But when you're throwing more strikes and you're getting less knockouts, yeah, you could say the guys are tougher, but
Right.
I don't know about that.
I mean, he is landing less, but it's minimal. It's a
Yeah.
shade over 1%. But it would seem to me that the guys would be getting tougher. Your finishing rate probably normally goes down when you're the champion, but I don't know, Ray. Like, even those numbers, I see those. I calculated them, and granted, I'm not the greatest at math, so there's the disclaimer there. But I will say those numbers did surprise me because I thought we were going to see a lot less. I thought the striking accuracy was going to go down. I thought the amount of punches per minute were going to go down, but that's not the case.
Right. Yeah, I have to look at I mean, I'm just going to say, just take the Romero fight. Does that fight fit into any of those numbers at all?
It does, and I can tell you the rates for the Romero fight if you want. Let me get my pen and paper here. The output for Romero in 25 minutes, he threw 132 significant strikes. His percentage was 36%, so it was significantly lower than his average of 50%. On what's his output when it comes to throwing strikes per minute? Strikes thrown per minute or strikes thrown per fight, 159.2. In that fight, 132. So yeah, I mean, you threw about 20 some odd strikes less.
Right. I mean, he's consistent then.
Right.
I mean, I would think that fight, those numbers don't even. I mean, I remember that fight being a couple of leg kicks here and there, moving.
Right.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that fight again. It just doesn't seem to match up in my head when I'm thinking about it. But those are the numbers.
I feel the same way, and obviously I got the numbers from Fight Metric, so those numbers are as good as they come. The same stats that the UFC uses, but a little bit shocking to me, Ray, because I thought for sure we were going to see some numbers that skewed towards a story of Adesanya being more conservative. But
right.
I'm definitely going to play with those numbers a little bit and maybe try to figure out what the average decline is for champions because, I mean, you're fighting 25-minute fights. Things are going to change, I think, drastically when it comes to the output. But
I agree, 100%.